Let's start with the name of the self-titled vlog series, Tremayne.
Okay.
What does that mean?
So Tremayne is an acronym. It's an acronym for I actually have it right here, TRMYN, which is transform your reality, master your now. And one of the things that really, that mantra really resonated with me, because I was going through a time where I was like, business was really a struggle. It was really a struggle to kind of like break through, because you have to depend on different people in order for things to really work. And I was like, you know what? I know something's about to happen. I'm feeling this tension, and when I feel that lets me know that there's something on the horizon. So what I did was like, you know what? Let's just start documenting this process, and that's what I did. So that I went to bed that night, and I was like, you know what? Let's do this. So the next morning, I get up, and you can go to on my vlog. If you go to season 1, episode 1, you'll see it. You'll see me going on the bus. Going to Whole Foods, because that's where I usually plan my week at, and I just started documenting. I didn't know what was going to happen, but there was a mentor that told me, he said that a life worth living is a life worth documenting. So if you know, that's what that really resonated with me. That's what made me really start this series. It really keeps me grounded in the now. So I'm not thinking too far out, not thinking, you know, in the past. I'm really grounded now, and as I started doing it, we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through this series, but as, you know, what happened in like 8 weeks, we acquired, and I'm not going to get into too deep because we'll talk about it more, we acquired 2 companies. Like, I started to see a transformation take place in a pretty fast time. So that was like, you know, the impetus of really starting this, not really knowing, you know, where it was going to go.
Why did you start this series?
So I wanted to start this series because doing the vlog, as much as I love doing the vlog, and it's probably a little bit more comfortable for me to shoot what I call fly on the wall content, and just as I'm going from thing to thing and doing stuff, doing this type of content, these series allows me to really articulate the value that I wanted to share in some of the vlogs. Some of the vlogs they're half-baked ideas. You know, they're half-baked ideas that don't really get a chance to like flesh out. So I'm doing this series so the audience, so the viewer, you, the one watching right now, you're able to kind of really hear the articulation and get the most value out of it. Because it doesn't make sense if you're watching a vlog and you're not really getting anything out of it. So that's why, you know, we decided to do this series to make it more valuable for the person that's watching. But he actually saw what we were doing. And we weren't, you know, we had a level of transparency that most people that he probably spoke to didn't have. So we were able to show him us in action. And you'll be surprised like how you build relationships like that. So when he's deciding like who he's gonna choose, guess who you might choose? Us. Because of the fact that we were able to be vulnerable and be transparent into our business.
Why documenting your journey is so important?
I think every executive, every CEO, every leader is going to have to document their journey, their business journey, because at the end of the day, if you're recruiting the top talent, if you want to do business with the people that you want to do business with, people only buy from people that they like. And showing the human side of business I think is going to be an advantage for those that take advantage of it right now, especially as we go into the AI space where you're not going to know what's what. You know, they have these deep fakes out there, and you're just not going to know. So, getting ahead of this trend, getting ahead of documenting my journey is an asset. It becomes a part of our competitive edge of being able to look into the camera, speak to. There's a kid out there right now that wants to work for us. That's looking to. They're going to be able to see us and be like, I want to work for that company because look at that. Look at the team. Look at the leaders at that company. So documenting that journey, going behind the scenes and showing that's going to be the competitive edge of any company, and you're doing yourself a discredit if you're not.
Okay, so that leads me to the second half of the question. How does documenting your journey impacted your business so far?
So Let me give you an example. So we were talking to private equity CEO, and one of the things that I was able to do as I was communicating with him, I was able to show him snippets from our vlog, so that not only did he see, he didn't.
What's something that most business leaders get wrong about documenting their journey?
Well, I can't talk about most business leaders, but I can talk about myself. One of the things that I got hung up on is I don't want to see myself as a content creator or a YouTuber. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur that just happens to be documenting the journey. And I think that was the switch that I had to make in my mind, is like really seeing the value that's being created. One of the things that we were talking about earlier, as far as like the difference between extractive work and generative work. So let me give you an example of that. So extractive work is anything that you're doing that's mundane. Just sending out emails, signing contracts, structuring proposals, all those things are mundane by themselves. But if you cut the camera on, and then now you point that camera into that mundane work, that work now becomes generative, meaning that it has value now, because people are like, oh, you're pretty much shedding light on something that most people don't see. So now, so for a business leader, having that documentation on even some of the most mundane things, it now has become value. Nothing goes to waste. And one of the things that also that business leaders don't understand is leverage. Being high leverage. And as more people are going to be able to create companies, you're going to need more leverage. So really finding leverage. So that's one of the things that, as I'm talking to business leaders, is like, you want to be as leveraged as possible.
How does your background in storytelling and branding give you an edge in the acquisition space?
Well, let's start here. I mean, private equity, historically speaking, has been very, how do I say it, snobby. It has been very, dry, and there's no storytelling. I think in this new phase of, people, we're seeing more acquisitions happening. Being able to tell stories and being able to really have branding that is personal helps you stand out from all the noise. Because at the end of the day, some of the financial statements, the income statements, all these things are going to be automated with AI, where that part of the business, that layer of the business, is not going to be as important as the people. Being able to engage people. If someone's looking to sell their business, they're going to have to make a decision on who they're going to sell the business to. So being able to still tell stories, first internal stories, telling stories about your company, what makes your company different, and then telling external stories about what's going on in the industry, and being able to marry those things in a way that's compelling. So my background in storytelling, to be honest, I was a rapper. I started off telling stories. That's what, what I did. So I understand the power of building culture and using that as a lever in a space that hasn't, you don't really see that. So I think there's a big opportunity for that.
Talk about real-time learning, and how does engaging with your content help someone level up in business?
So real-time learning, one of the things that I learned, let's say 5 years ago, I was a director of entrepreneurship and innovation at a community college while running a digital agency that we turned into a startup development firm. And one of the things that I learned is, as I was teaching the students about business and entrepreneurship, the lessons that I was learning, I was able to apply to the business. And I started to notice that the rate of learning and the speed of learning increased as I was teaching. So most people, you can watch podcasts, you can read books, but the best way to learn something is to teach it. And having this opportunity to be able to, go into the business world, do business, and then come back and teach it right away. Not only am I teaching the people, the viewers, I'm also learning as I'm teaching. So what happens is you really speed up. You want to become a learning organization and be able to get all of that information out into not only into your internal team but also externally, so that people can follow along and learn. So how do people apply that is a lot of people lack. I heard this from Alex Hormozy earlier and on the podcast. He was basically saying a lot of people lack courage, and I think one of the things that if no matter where you're at in your journey, just to have the courage to do something outside of the box or do something uncomfortable, and just when you're engaging with the content and you're seeing someone that's being vulnerable, that's being transparent in their business, and not a highlight reel. And that's one of the things I'm going to emphasize, that this is not a highlight reel. You're not going to see. I mean, there's going to be some wins, but this is not a highlight reel. In social media, it's people optimize for the highlight reel, but what we're going to show you is we're going to show you the real on what's really happening, on a day-to-day basis. So that's what people are going to get from. They're going to be able to look inside and say, oh, wow, if they were able to do that, maybe I can step out and do something, or just to get people engaged that way.
What does companionship content means to you, and how does it benefit entrepreneurs?
So companionship content, this is a concept that I learned from one of my favorite essayists. She's based out of San Francisco. Her name is Anu. And basically what she was saying is the next wave of content, like we went through this wave of the short content, these shorts and retention based, like the Mr. Beast type content. And a lot of the shift is going to what's called companionship content. And companionship content is people are dealing with loneliness. And there's no one more lonelier than entrepreneurs, right? It's a really, really lonely occupation to be an entrepreneur. And just knowing that somebody's there building with you, even if they're not in the same space as you, just having the content. Like, I don't expect anyone watching the content to be like glued to the screen watching it. I don't think that's what this is about. It's really about, let me give you an example. There was a guy that I was talking to. He's in the acquisition space. I believe he's a broker or something. And I was telling him about the vlog, and I shared a screenshot of all of the episodes. And what he said to me, he said, man, it makes me want to just watch this whole thing starting from the beginning, like binge watching all of the playlist. And that, like, the light bulb went on, and it was like, wow, people, it's not really about like watching it to kind of like understand everything. It's really having someone there with you. I had another person who said to me, hey, Trey, I don't really watch the whole thing, but I do have it on when I'm working. Another light bulb moment. And this whole idea of companionship content it's really exciting to me. And I want to get into like fresh off the press stuff. Like we're starting to see entrepreneurs set up Twitch and just let it live stream, and you're seeing people gather around that Twitch stream and just work with the people that are on Twitch. So what we're starting to see is this rise of and I think it's really at the core level of it, I think it's really solving this mental health, mental illness, and loneliness, especially for entrepreneurs, knowing that someone's there alongside of them, that they're not alone, and that they can even DM or email that, hey, to reach out to them, they're accessible. I think companionship content, especially in the entrepreneurship space, where people are going to be forced to be entrepreneurs with our current market conditions, that people are going to be searching for this type of content moving forward.
Are there any upcoming interviews or collaborators that you're especially excited about?
Well, we're really excited about, just to be very present right now, I'm excited about this series right here. I'm really excited, like I was saying earlier, to have the opportunity to be able to really articulate the insights that we're learning, articulate our business model. We want to just be very transparent and just being able to put these in playlists for you, so that whatever you're going through, you can go, oh, I can go to the playlist and go through these, and I can learn X, Y, Z as we're doing it in real time. So I'm really excited about this series. But on the horizon, doing the interviews with the CEOs of these micro private equity firms. I'm excited about that. I'm not going to get too much into that, but what we're doing right now is these series that I think, the way we structure the playlist, there's going to be something there for anyone that's on this journey that they can take from, based on what stage they're at.